Hi, what's up? Welcome. Listen, I wasn't sure I was going to stream today because I'm a sleepy baby. I'm really tired. I did get the weekend off, which was awesome, but I will have 6 days to work straight in a row. So, that'll be fun. 6, 10, and mostly 12-hour days. Anyways, hi, I'm Audra. If you're new here, I do live streams and I talk about whatever it is I feel like talking about. If you have not subscribed, I would love it if you would. Also, it stresses me out when you do. So I've been in hiding, y'all. Legitimately, thank you for everybody, all the new subscribers. Awesome. Also, listen, I'll let the mug speak for itself. That's where we are today, ace and anxious. I'm just like, well, and I'm anxious because I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this particular thing, because it does give me like a little bit of hives because I don't like to like stir up any hornet's nests or make anyone mad. So first and foremost, I do want to thank my channel members, my Twitch subscribers, my Patreon members, all of whom make this content possible for me. I'm so excited. I very happy that like y'all made this mic happen. I've been searching for this, not this mic in particular, but this particular sound. So it's been a trial and error situation in which I've had to spend money on mics and be like, I don't like this sound either. So thank y'all for that. Also, you have made it possible for me to be able to have the researcher help me out with some of these streams, especially this one. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi to everyone in the chat. I am like, my hands are clammy. I don't know if you can hear it. Like, my hands are clammy. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. I'm nervous. All right. So just a few quick hellos and then we'll go ahead and get started here because some of y'all are always here early and I really appreciate it. For the replay crew, what is up? I appreciate you watching this again. After the fact. I know you have a million and one things that you could be doing, watching, and listening to. So I appreciate that you think of me to do so. Hope your laundry's getting done and the dishes or whatever else you needed to get taken care of today. So Girly Girl, Janet, Heavenly, Toxic Woman 66, Cal, Sarajan, Stephanie, Brenna, and Anissa. Hi, how are you? I really hope that I'm saying Brenna properly. Like I always think that I am. And then every time you try to say whether or not I'm saying it, I think I'm looking away and I apologize. So then we have Feffy A. Hi. And hi, Jeff. Welcome back. I remember you from last stream. So how are you? All right, y'all. This is going to be a bit of a touchy subject. So one of the things that I do want to say right off rip is under zero circumstances do I want this to be something where we're like talking, mad shit about other creators or making other creators feel bad for any of their choices. That's not the intent of this conversation. It's just that I kind of think I found a bit of a gray area with some things that have been going on. And I think that this is a thing that's going to continue moving forward. But before we talk about the influencer trips, I really have to talk about parasocial relationships. So, the thing about a parasocial relationship, one of the things that I hate most is that people get on this platform and various other platforms, and we'll talk about how parasocial relationships are dumb. Don't fall for parasocial relationships. You're stupid for doing so. And that is just a big pet peeve of mine because that's categorically untrue. You are not stupid. You are not weird. You are not strange for having a parasocial relationship. Parasocial relationships existed long before we had a name for it. Just because like we talk about it now and we understand what they are doesn't mean that they didn't exist before. And it also doesn't mean that you're some kind of weirdo or strange person for having a parasocial relationship. At the end of the day, human beings are animals and we are pack animals and we desire connection. And especially in the world that we have today, it is very, very easy to have like connections in the most niche communities that you can think of. Like there are Reddit groups that are dedicated to the movie Labyrinth. They're all very excited about it and these are the only people they can talk to about Labyrinth the way that they want to talk about Labyrinth. And let's be very real in that beauty in and of itself is a very small niche. In fact, I see in multiple comment sections and multiple creators the people who talk about the fact that there's no one else that they can talk to about makeup, which is why they absolutely love being able to have these conversations on their forums and in comment sections. So Parasocial relationships also create community, and that's something that I want people to keep in mind as we move forward because it's not as simple as just like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," because long before we had the name for it, this existed, okay? This is and has been a thing, it will continue to be a thing. So one thing I did wanna do is go ahead and, define what a parasocial relationship is. Marcy, you've been one of my friends since you were trying on clothes here. You are an OG. You've been here since I made those. Like, listen, y'all, I don't know how to tell you this, but my clothing try-ons were clay fab. Okay. I was doing the damn thing. It was amazing. Honestly, it was an amazing time. To this day, I'm really proud of those videos. Were they a little weird and wonky and fun? Yes, I love them. But I was going to go ahead and define what a parasocial relationship is. And a parasocial relationship is defined, and I got this from Wikipedia. It is defined as one-sided relationships where one person extends emotional energy, interest, and time, and the other party, the persona, is completely unaware of the other's existence. Parasocial relationships are most common with celebrities, organizations such as sports teams, or television stars. Please note that this does not include content creators. And I know some people would say content creators are celebrities, but that is like a conversation for another day because some are and some aren't, if that makes sense. Um, because some are only like that's why I love Peter Mont's intro where he says I'm YouTube famous now because some people are only YouTube famous. They're not like celebrities where they would be, on a game show or something. Not to be mean. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying that that is where we are. And it's important for me to have that definition at the start of this because when we had these parasocial relationships with celebrities, they were definitely completely and totally one-sided relationships. Okay. Joey from New Kids on the Block had no idea I existed. We wrote letters to them. We read every one of their like if their favorite color was blue, my favorite color was blue. Do you know what I mean? Like we all had that kind of weird little relationship. Good night, Juliet. Listen, don't worry about it. I love seeing you either way, whether you're on the replay or you're here in the live. I appreciate you being here. So the thing is, it was completely one sided. It has been for a very long time, but we are starting to see that change. And I'm not sure what the term is. I've been calling it a double parasocial because that's who I am. So, trademark double parasocial. Audra Rains, you're welcome. Thank you. You all right. I'm never gonna be able to stop doing it. And I'm sorry. Just like leave me alone. Okay. It's stuck in my head. It's my echolalia right now. So Soldier Boy U is going to be coming at you randomly. So the thing is, I've been calling it a double parasocial relationship because a lot has changed. A lot has changed. Whereas once upon a time, a celebrity had no idea that you existed and no idea that you were even, writing them letters or saying anything to them. They now have access to social media and they're able to know that you exist. So it's not as one-sided as it used to be in that regard. That one I'm not calling double parasocial. I'm just going to keep that as parasocial, regular parasocial, because while they can know that you exist and they can reply back to you or retweet your tweet or quote tweet your tweet, they're still not like people that they're not really aware of you as a person, if that makes sense. Like if some random celebrity started following me on Twitter, I don't know why they would do that. Let's say Threads, but that's kind of a dumpster fire as well. They still don't know me unless we start DMing back and forth. Like they're for whatever reason that they've chosen to follow me, whether I had like a hit thread. Is that what they're is it is it a thread? And if I had a hit thread and they're like, "Oh, they seem smart and intelligent and oh so beautiful, I'm gonna follow them." It doesn't necessarily mean that we're all like chilling and we know each other back and forth, right? However, with content creation, I've been calling it the double parasocial relationship because there are quite literally people that show up in this stream, in many of my streams, that I know, right? Quotes, I know. They've commented back and forth. There's Tiffany, there's Ruth, there's Marcy. We've commented back and forth in multiple videos. We've had little conversations here and there. Some people are patrons, some people are channel members, some people are subscribers on my Twitch, right? We have a relationship that is no longer one-sided. Like I know who people are. I know what's going on in some people's lives. I now have a Discord, which is a thing in and of itself. And listen, I want to apologize for Gandalf being in the Discord, y'all, but also the chaos he wreaks is just heavenly, so he stays. But but the point is, this has been happening for a long time, and one of the reasons that I think that YouTube became so popular was that when celebrities got into that movement of leave us alone, stop photographing us everywhere, stop bothering us. At the very same time, YouTube was becoming popular. And so it really did change how a parasocial relationship operates. And it completely changed how we as viewers and consumers of content viewed the creators, because you're no longer just watching somebody and having like a one-sided conversation with them. Before me and Jen, like Jen Love were friends, I had commented in one of her like a video a long time. She was doing something about eyelashes. I don't know. And she gave me a tip that I should try. Like I did it and it was cute, but I still couldn't figure out lashes at the time. Now I can. Now I'm a lashes bitch. Listen, I want applause. I want an award. Uh, but she, gave me a suggestion. And then I let her know, like, hey, I tried your suggestion at work. And she replied back, like, oh, that's really great. You don't really get that from majority of celebrities, even today. Majority of celebrities, you're not going to come on their post and be like, hey, this thing that you did helped change my life, or this thing that you did help me with blah, blah, blah. And very rarely are they going to respond back and be like, that's awesome. But on YouTube, now TikTok, Instagram, and all this other social media, they do and they can. You can quite literally be having a conversation back and forth that isn't an argument. Wild, I know, but you can. So now you have this double parasocial relationship. And I want to reiterate again, how you handle your parasocial relationships is completely up to you. As long as it doesn't, go into the scary territory, I don't think that there's anything wrong with them. I feel like, in all honesty, these kinds of relationships, especially in a world where we're looking for connection, and it's getting increasingly harder to find it in our real lives. And even when you do have some of that connection in your real life, the issue is even being able to see them. I can't see some of the people I love dearest because I am literally working all the time. When I'm not working, I'm doing content creation because this relaxes me. This chills me. Like, I'm chilled out. Also, just side note, what do you think about this foundation? ADHD, but what do you think about it? Do I look Let me know. We'll talk about it later. But but listen, Stephanie, listen, it all started with magnetic lashes. It all started with magnetic lashes. And then I learned the thing that the problem is, when I got into beauty YouTube, I feel like I got in at a point where everybody had already said how to put on lashes, and I'm not going backwards because my brain, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to go backwards into your catalog of stuff, figure out how to put on eyelashes. Also, the ADHD won't let me. So it's like instructions. We don't need no stinking instructions. So, anyways, I moved on and I learned that you had to cut. Yeah, you had to cut the edge. Like, you have to cut a piece off. You had to cut them to fit. And I'm sure it says that somewhere in the box too. Don't look at me. But anyways, yeah, and Janet here's, I would rather not see people in real life, right? Like, there is a sensation of not having the time that we once used to have to be able to like go do stuff. And honestly, a lot of public places aren't fun for me. I don't like children. I've said this before. I don't like outwardly like hate them, and I'm not mean to them. I just like don't like children, and they seem to be everywhere. And I just sometimes, like, when I want to go a place, I don't want them to be there. So with all of that said, people form connections not only through the parasocial relationship that they have with the creator. So in my case, there are people in here who have a parasocial relationship with me. I have a parasocial relationship with them because we don't know each other personally in a way, like we haven't hung out. But also they are able to create connections within this community that I have. So this happens with every creator. people within that community start creating connections. They become friends through various means. People start sending each other makeup back and forth or gifts and whatnot. And it becomes like real, actual relationships. Parasocial relationships are also very helpful for people's mental health. I think if you're going through a hard time, there are creators, whether they're on YouTube or actual celebrities, that have helped you through hard times. The way in which we form connections is interesting when, like, I look at the stuff that they say. I'm not a scientist, but the things that I've seen, like some of these connections, a lot of them aren't even formed consciously. Like, we can consciously form connections, but most of these connections are not formed consciously. You could just be going through a rough time, or you could be having a great day, and that great day you turned on this content creator who helped to elevate your great day, or you turned on a song that elevated your great day. And so you have this connection that is emotional, and it gives you, you know, a feeling whenever you hear like a song. Like for me, like if I hear, is it Haim Haim, The Wire? Like, listen, I'm having a good day and I am bopping, you know, ooh, yeah, like I'm getting it. Okay. You're not going to stop me from having a good time. I have a lot of really good, strong, emotional connections to that song and to having good days when I hear it. The same thing is true for content creators. There are creators here that some of them I'm friends with now, and we'll get there because I used to be like, that's kind of creepy. But actually, it may in some ways be like an eventuality for being in this realm, but also we'll get there when we get to the influencer trips part. But yeah. See, and here we go, Stephanie again. I spend more time on YouTube than on any other app and really not okay with people in real life right now. My mental health is a dumpster fire and YouTube is safer than dealing with actual people IRL. And I think that that's fair. And I think that people really like to brush it off and pretend like they don't ever have a parasocial relationship. Newsflash, you do. I kind of don't care if you're going to say that you don't, because the disappointment you feel when someone like isn't who they say they were, or they suck, or they're a Pedialyte, or abuser, all of the things, is because of that parasocial relationship. Parasocial relationships don't mean that you have this like weird unbreakable bond and you just don't care whatever they do wrong. Like, we all have them. We're human beings and we require communication to survive. Even people who are antisocial still require community. A lot of that just means for them that they're not doing it personally or in short bursts. They're just like, I can hang out with you for like 2 hours. And then like after that, I'm going to spend the next 21 days by myself. So with that being said, with content creators, the double parasocial relationship comes in that we get to know each other better. I myself have a Patreon, as I've said before, and a membership and a Discord. And what this means is that people in my community have access to me that everybody outside of the community doesn't have. And what I mean by that is like, people know when I'm gassy. I have fallen asleep in a movie in a movie night, and they all had to leave. They all just had to leave the meeting because I fell asleep. They all know how, like, the hours that I work. So it's really chill, but it's fun. They see me with, sometimes I'm not in a great mood. Sometimes I'm an asshole. And these are all things that just the general public doesn't see. This is like, you know, inside of a smaller community, which is a big reason for creators of my size to create a Patreon and things like that. Not only does it help financially, but also it allows me to like really just be myself in ways that you can't necessarily be yourself on YouTube. So, with that being said, talking about the parasocial relationship and all of this, I have noticed an uptick in creators deciding to host trips. And a lot of these trips are international. And I have like a like a weird feeling about it. And it doesn't exactly make sense because it should make sense, right? Because I have a Patreon. Who am I to say anything? I think the way that I'm looking at this before I really get into the influencer trips is that with my Patreon, I do still control who has access to me. I have had a situation or two where people have crossed boundaries one too many times and they have been eliminated from the community. Um, because of that, right? I have control of who is allowed to stay within the community. If you make many others in the community feel uncomfortable, including myself, I will not allow you to continue to be part of the community. Even while we are making friends, I have control over that. Also, when I use like I'm friends with Bad to the Brow, but so I'm going to use her because she won't mind. If I use her code Millie10, before I was friends with her, in this example, we are not friends. I'm just a subscriber. I like Millie's content. I watch it. She recommends a palette. I buy palette. I use code Millie10. At no point do I feel like because I use this code, I am going to be friends with Millie. Does that make sense? Like, even utilizing the Patreon doesn't necessarily mean people are gonna be friends. The other thing about people supporting in those ways is that not everybody wants to take part in the activities. Some people just wanna support you financially, which my mind. Some people are just like, "I'm just gonna support you. I don't wanna come to the movie nights. I don't care. Like, just take the money, have good days." And I don't know what to say when people do that, right? Like, I really don't. But the people that I am friends with, I still have the ability to control that access. Like, I don't have to be there all the time, and I also don't have to be on 24/7. So that is now bringing us into the rise of what I'm seeing is going to become a pretty regular trend, which is influencers sponsoring basically a trip to wherever overseas. It could be Spain, it could be um where else do we have? France. You could go to a lot of different places. And a lot of these, I've seen a couple different companies. Today, we're going to mostly focus on Trova Trips. This is a company that was founded in 2017, and they are very much focusing on using, like basically being like the Uber of social media influences on businesses to sell trips. So, what this means is they're trying to, when you get together and you get a group and you're like, we're all going to go out, we're going to have a good time, like that one weird TikTok said, we're all gonna get blackout because what was the blackout drunk? Because what was the point in getting an Uber if we're gonna be sober? And I was like, girl, no, don't do that. But anyways, their main focus is truly on utilizing social media in influencers on businesses and getting people to have these trips. So what happens as a creator, say me, is like, hey, I'm planning a trip to Spain and there are 10 slots available. And this goes to every subscriber, just like all of them. And I the thing that I find weird about this, and I'm going to keep getting into it. I have been anxious about talking about this because I don't want anybody to feel attacked and I don't want people to feel bad. Like, if you're going on these trips, have fun, boo boo. I want you to have a good time. And I'm not making fun of you. That's not what I'm here to say. I feel like there's a couple of things that I'm slightly worried about with regards to this. Um, there are some questionable reviews of this site on Trustpilot and Trova itself, but what they do is you sign up. Like, if I wanted to, I sign up, I say, "Hey, listen, I want to host a trip." And then they will give me like an approval on whether or not I can. Here's where I find it interesting is that as the host, I can decide what I want my portion to be. And this is again, when we talk about affiliate links, and I'm going to keep doing these like little curves and turns with an affiliate link. If I want to link this, I didn't use this, but if I want to link this, I have zero control over the margin. It is whoever I'm using. If I go through magic links, which I tend to use the most, I think there's like Link to Know It, like whatever it is, but I don't have control over that margin. The company does. So if I link to this and my margin is every person who clicks that affiliate link and buys this benefit hula, and I get $1.75 per, that's all I get. I don't negotiate that. I don't have any control over it. But with these trips, the creator does have the ability to decide on their margin. So that's a thing that I find interesting because if you were to go, and it's not easy to just go and compare like what it would cost for you to create a trip, because one of the things about these trips that I've seen is that they include the hotel, some meals, and they also include tours. So it would be much more like much different than if I go to Expedia. Like I've gone to Expedia to see how much it would be for me to go to Scotland because I really want to go. And with hotel and flight, it's about 4 grand. So that's just to give you like a little baseline. And keep in mind that like I would be leaving from Texas. Keep in mind that that doesn't include tours, that doesn't include meals. That's just hotel, flight, 4 grand. A lot of these trips don't include Trova trips from what I have seen, and from what I've seen on other the influencers who have been promoting their trips, which more power to you, is that it doesn't really include the flight. So if theirs is 5 grand to go on the trip for however many days. And that, by the way, that 4 grand, I had it for like a week almost of being in Scotland, like an entire week because I'm a monster. And I feel like a lot of times the longer you stay, the less expensive it is because they keep giving you like a bulk rate and they're happy to have be filled, especially at an off time of year. So, listen, I'm like, do you see me sweating and getting verklempt and nervous and stressed? I'm like, "Ah." So the thing is, because the host can set that margin, they get paid on average around $6,000 per trip. Now, obviously, that varies per creator, however, they set their margin. And what that can mean is if they do 4 trips a year, they're earning approximately $24,000 going on these trips. These are just air numbers. These aren't like, I'm not saying that that is what anybody is earning. This is just estimations. What this also means is that, and they are very clear about this on their website on Trova. Y'all can go look this up as well. I'll have the website linked in the description below. Um, the thing is, the influencer, if I did this, I'm going on the trip for free. Period. Like I'm not paying for the trip. You are. I am not paying to go. Because Trova is happy to have me as a host. I'm making them money. And therefore, since I'm going on this trip, like I'm not paying to go on the trip at all. So you, as my parasocial subscribers, are paying to come on this trip. The other thing is that they on average, there's 20% of the trip earnings go to the host. And what tends to happen is that they give you like an advance to be able to pay for flights. It can happen, but you also have a 50% advance up front of the money. So when people start booking, you can get a 50% upfront that helps you to, pay for these costs. At the end of it, you get the other 50%. So, my main thing is one, I'm really hoping that any influencer who is using these trips and who's doing this is disclosing fully and properly like they need to. This is the thing that kind of started giving me a bit of an icky feeling because I don't feel like everyone is disclosing this properly. I understand that it's a bit of a gray area with regards to the FTC, but you are earning money on this trip, and the people going deserve to know that you're making money off of them because it's not just a trip for y'all to connect. And I'm not saying that to be shicey. I'm saying personally, if I'm doing that, it's not just a trip for you and me to connect. Because if it were that, if you had patrons or like any private groups or anything like that, if you had that, then the trip would only be advertised there. That's my opinion. So if I were doing this, this would be something that would be specifically for my patrons and channel members. It would not be open to the general public. And the reason I wouldn't do that is one, I safety, safety. I'm just going to start with safety. Safety. I don't think that I want anybody and everybody to be aware that there is a trip and an itinerary. that they can look at. That makes me extremely uncomfortable, and I worry for any influencer who's doing that. Like, I I think you need to state that there is a trip, and I really think that y'all need to start, just my opinion, making a locked Google, like a Google document or something, that once somebody has booked, or they maybe it's a $1 fee that they pay, some kind of something, so that then they can get access to these things. That really stresses me out. It actually gives me like just intense stress that it's open to the world. But the other thing that I think about is, if it really was about connection, and again, this is my opinion, this is nothing on creators creating these influencer trips, but if it really was about connection, it would be for the people who would really want to do that. Um, and I just think, again, my opinion, you're not doing that because you have a better chance of getting all the slots filled and your paycheck if you open it up to the entire general public. So, as someone who doesn't like going on vacations with people, because I don't like an itinerary. You would not enjoy going on a vacation with Audra Rains. Okay. First of all, I have IBS. I'm quite gassy. I have to sleep with the television on. So these are all things you don't want to share a room with me. It's not a good time. It's the exact same reason that anytime people are like, "Hey, I could get you to go on one of these creator trips," and I say no, that's why I can't. I also don't like to be around people I don't know. I abhor it with every ounce of my being. So hi Kathy. Have a good one, Kathy. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be here. It's gonna be here. Yeah. So, work in progress that I always assumed they were, but wasn't sure they made money. Yes. Yes. And if you go to the site, they're very, very clear about all of the things. I don't know if this will be a Dramageddon, but as a content creator, I couldn't do this because I don't want to be on for at least 12 hours a day. Like, that's the thing I have to say. I absolutely cannot imagine being on for 12 hours a day, because I would have to be. And I don't say that to be funny or mean or whatever. That's why I said if I did something like that, it would have to be with my patrons and channel members, because obviously I'm gonna disclose it and do all that stuff, but also because these are folks who have seen me behind the scenes. They know what I'm like. Um, so I'm not having to, like, be on for a bunch of people, because I can't do that. I quite literally can't. I also can't imagine what it would be like if you go, like, what if you don't like them? What if you don't like anyone? Like, what if you go on this trip and you hate everyone? What happens then? Um, and so the reason I brought up things like affiliate links and patronages and all of that stuff is because I think on one keeps you understanding that line between parasocial relationships. It keeps you understanding your places and what you're doing. And that's for both sides. I'm not saying just for the viewer. I am saying, as a creator and for the creator, both of you are now entering into a different type of relationship when you go on this trip. And I think that if you're not careful, again, I don't know what these creators are doing, because I'm not going to go in and dig and see what they're doing so I can report on them and say that they're awful people. That's not the intent. Um, the thing is, I really hope that there's a creating an expectation that this may be just for the trip. We're this is just a trip. And I say this because what do you do when you go on this trip and you take all these photos, you have all this fun stuff, like vlogs and things like that. Are these people getting any kind of compensation for being in the vlog? Do they have to Are they signing a waiver saying that they are okay with being in all of that stuff? Like, these are the questions I have for creators when they're doing this, and it's really important that make everybody's trying to make sure they're putting all of that information in there, because, like, I would wanna know if I'm releasing my image. because again, I I don't like it when people just take random photos of me or you see me in the back with my mouth open looking weird. I don't care if you catch me eating because honestly, I eat a lot of food and I eat it fast when I'm eating. Right now, it's been a rough time. I know I'm a little scrawnier than usual. It's been a rough time. I've been having trouble finding foods that I feel like eating. But yeah, yes, Ava. A meet and greet sounds fine, but a whole week of strangers following places is blech. Yeah. And so I guess I'm worried that one, th that it's not being disclosed properly of how this financially is working out. Like, yes, you can say I'm making money off of it, but I do feel like people should know not only are you making money, but you are going for free. It's really important that that is part of the deal. Like, to me, it is. If I were going, I want to know that you are going for free, because what that also means is that if we're out and we're going shopping or whatever, I need to relax and not feel bad that I can't spend money like you. Because I know that some influencers are going to be out there trying to flex. Like, calm down. Don't flex. Don't be that person. So we need to make sure that when you're doing stuff like this, that you are, in fact, ensuring that people know that you are not paying, you're disclosing properly, that people understand, because we're blurring the lines now between our parasocial relationship. Because if people aren't well, just generally, or if people are having a rough time, or they could have had a great time, when they get back, their expectations might be different than you think they are. Right? Like, if I went on a trip with a bunch of random strangers from my community, I feel like there's some people who might have expectations that we're gonna DM back and forth. No, I don't even DM my own friends. Why would I DM you? Thank you. Do you like the amount of people who are part of my community who are in Patreon and all that stuff, who I can guarantee you will tell you that, like, 2 weeks went by, 3 weeks, a month, and then I responded to something? It's probably all of them. Every single person can tell you that it takes me forever. But, like, we're not really friends. You know what I mean? Like, are we actually friends? I think that that is something that should be discussed, the boundaries. Is everybody getting a background check? 'Cause, I was tempted by the trip to Ireland. I feel like there is a more of a chance that I would get along with that group than in a random group tour. Yeah, and here's the thing, I don't think that there's anything wrong with anybody making money, because we live in a capitalist society and we all have to live. I mean, if there was a way to live based on just my good looks, maybe I would be rich. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not sorry. But I do think that these kinds of things offer, like, they're great actually. The idea is solid. The idea is a good idea. I think that if I really sat and thought about it, like, I would definitely, if my, like, Patreon patrons and channel members were interested in doing something like this, then we would, you know? But they would know, like, "Hey, this," and I'd be like, "How many people are interested in going? How many spots do I think I can fill?" We would do that. But again, it would be my inner sanctum, my inner circle. It wouldn't be open for everyone. Not because I'm a jerk, but because, like, I know who these people are. So I know I would feel comfortable with them. That's my thing. And I think some influencers might not be thinking about that aspect of it. And I would be tired. And maybe they are and they just don't care. I would be tired. Like, being like, I'm the same person on and off for the most part. Obviously, I try to curse a lot less here and try to say less offensive things than I say generally, and a little less dark humor than I normally use. But this is me, right? But I couldn't imagine having to be this Audra for at least 12 hours overseas. And, like, I'm just stuck with you. Like, I couldn't deal with that. So I just don't think that I think that that might be a concern for me. I also do think it's a bit concerning because I do think that a lot of these sites, apparently, a lot of fitness, yoga, and travel influencers are also using Trova. And it was difficult for my researcher to find a bad video or blog post about them because they all had similar talking points of bonding and getting to know your community more, not being alone. However, apparently there is somewhere where you really can't, um, you're not really allowed to slander. There's like a no slander clause in a lot of these, which I get. I do get it. Like, it does suck, but I actually do understand why that would be the case because if I am going on this trip and they are essentially letting me go for free, yes, I'm bringing them money, but like I didn't pay anything, and then I'm bitching about it, they might not, you know what I mean? That mm, 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 mm. So, when you ask Trova, you're like, the "Do I get paid?" section of it, it's like, "Do I get paid how much?" It says, "Absolutely, as a host, you'll be paid a portion of the trip revenue. So yes, you get paid to travel with your community. Everything on the itinerary is included for you, and a plus one if you want to bring a friend along." So they're going for free. Their entire trip is paid for, okay? And if they wanna bring a friend, that friend is paid for. So that's cool. They said we'll even issue hosts an earnings advance to help cover airfare purchases. Again, so we're seeing that. So they say the exact host earnings can vary while the average host earns about 6 grand per trip. We let the creators determine how much they make as part of pricing their trip, but encourage you to set the price within your community's budget. And here's the problem with this as well is like if you Teespring, I'm going to take a little walk back here and we're going to come back. We're going to come back ish. Teespring creates a lot of influencer merch, right? Um Runt. Audra, don't take this the wrong way, but I prefer if we never met in person and kept our parasocial relationship online. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm horrible. Like I am a very don't meet me in person. It's bad. It's bad for everyone, actually. Like my own. If first of all, my entire body is always cracking and popping like that. Who wants to sit around that all day? And I don't stop doing it. Um, but when I was talking about like influencer merch, so you have Teespring, and we as viewers can almost always price that out. And here's what I mean. I can look at 5 creators who use Teespring and see who is trying to like make a big margin because on average those hoodies are about $45, okay? So if I see somebody has one for $54 and it's literally just like Canva, which there's nothing wrong with Canva. I use it all the time. Like I used it for my merch. It's fine. But also you're charging more for your Canva design. I'm going to notice that and I'm going to call you out on it, right? I have the ability to see what you're doing with your margins where I don't have that with Trova. I really don't have the ability. That's why I brought up a long time ago where I said, yeah, was looking at a trip to go to Scotland. It's about 4 grand with hotel and flight. The reason I brought that up is because I can't really try to put this in a little log and price this out. There's really no way for me as a subscriber to make sure that obviously I want you to make money. I'm not saying not make money, but I'm also trying to make sure you're not gouging the fuck out of me. That's really where I am. I'm just trying to make sure you're not over here trying to get like super margin. Meanwhile, I'm putting because again, if I go on your trip and it costs $4,000 and then I also still have to get my flight, let's say in Texas, that let's say around 6 grand would be the entirety of the trip. So from, unless I went from Love Field, but it would be about 6 grand for me to go on this entire trip. I have really no way to see if this is legit. there really isn't a way for you to try to match it up price for price and like thing for thing and tour for tour. Number one, because just like you would with like a travel agent, there's companies that they work with and those companies give rates. So even if you were to try to match it up bit for bit, yours is still going to be higher at the end of the day. Yours is still going to be maybe a little bit higher in some regards, maybe lower in others. Hi, baby bear, because of the fact that these tours and whatnot, everybody has like deals that they're working with Trova on. So those things are going to be different. Um, so at the, you can't really verify if the creator is making this as affordable for everyone as they can. There's no way for you to verify that. Not like you should, but I will price match everything except for makeup. Don't look at me. Um, look away from me. So here's the other thing that I did find interesting was that they do have a cancellation policy and it's based on your booking status. I have seen a few people have some difficulties trying to cancel. Obviously, once you're like 90 days pre-trip, you can't refund. Um, Basically, there's not really an easy way. Like if you did it immediately and then you were like, never mind, you can get your money back. But kind of after that, they don't really do that. And that's kind of a little bit standard. I found for a lot of group trips. A lot of group trips don't give you your money back. They just tell you that you have to use it for another trip. Mostly because they've used that money to pay all of these vendors. So they can't just like unpay them. So I just wanted to throw that at you as well. So like it kind of does, Dark Angel, have that little bit of like MLM flavoring, but the difference is you are getting a trip. I don't know why I started laughing, but you are getting a trip. You are going on a trip. You are going to go out, enjoy yourself, have some fun with a lot of people. I also hope that they create groups. Like again, if I were doing something like this, one obviously it'd be Patreon channel members, like my inner community only. The other is that we would be like very consistently talking about getting flights and how to kind of do these flights together or be as close together as we can so that way everybody's kind of getting to the location around the same time because it can be mad stressful to arrive in a international location and like literally no one's there to wait for you. That could be mad creepy. um I did find, or rather my researcher did find some old posts about their trips and they were on Reddit. And so somebody said something about Brittany and Kelsey's 7-day Costa Rica trip during peak hurricane season. And they said for 2250, $2,250, it does not include airfare, which was about $400 to $1,000, or travel insurance. It included 3 dinners and 4 lunches. You get 7 breakfasts complimentary for any guest at the hotel. So it's, just really the hotel has breakfast, which I couldn't do that because I can't eat breakfast. I can't eat before 9 a.m. It ruins my stomach. Um, and then 3 lunches and 4 dinners are also provided by the hotel. Alcohol is not included, which that's normal unless you're on a booze cruise. You get the shuttle from the airport via the hotel. Also, you have to make sure that your plane isn't late or you will have to pay for it. Walking tour, snorkeling, tourist stuff, nothing that would cost over $100. But here's the kicker. You are sharing a room with the total stranger. This is their review. Um, Average prices at this hotel are $77 a night. So 2 people split would be around $40 a person. So once the trip is confirmed, your 25% down payment is bye-bye. 60 days into the trip, your 2250 is theirs now forever, even if they cancel it. So to sum it all up, you are not only going on a cheap ass vacation, you are paying for their vacation and paycheck. That is how somebody felt about a Trova trip there. I I feel like some people have had a good time. Some people enjoyed the trip. They had a great time, but somebody else said they're a ripoff to say the least, and that they read the fine print and all, and they were aware of the consequences if they canceled. They weren't planning on canceling. They wanted to go on the trip, and they honestly didn't really want to go by themselves. So they gave the down payment and then they ended up having to cancel, but they couldn't really do so. I feel like there's just a lot to be said with making sure that people gel together, almost like a how when you were going to college and you were young? Do y'all remember when you anyways, were young? Do y'all remember how when you went to college, like, you would have like, they fill out a thing? I feel like you would need to do that as well to make sure that everybody can gel, especially if you're gonna be talking to the extent of sharing a room. It's a little awkward to me that if it's, like, $77, I'm sharing a like, just give me my damn room by myself. Like, every most people want a number 2 solo. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you're gonna have a lot of people with BGs. And I'm not saying that to be gross or whatever, but, like, p like, people just wanna do that by themselves. I'm not saying your roommate is just gonna, like, come in there when you're doing it. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people you're did you hear that? It's like my body heard what I was talking about. Like, a lot of people wanna be able to go use the bathroom like that by themselves. So, in conclusion, with all of this mess, listen, am I gonna have a stream that's shorter than an hour? Because listen, we're about to have the discussion back and forth in a second. I think that while these trips are a good idea for your interior community, I do not necessarily think, and obviously this is my opinion, that it is a good idea to open to all. I think that the creators need to make sure that they are very much properly disclosing at the top whenever they announce this. It should be the first thing that you see that, I am going on this trip for free. And, I am also paid a percentage of what you put down, of what you're paying. You don't have to say the percentage, but, like, that disclosure needs to be there so that people are aware of that because for me, personally, I find it a little bit ooky. I don't wanna pay for friends. I don't mind going on trips with people and having a good time, but for me, that's what it feels like. That's not what, people are saying, but that's just how I feel that it is. I feel like I, um, want to do something where I'm actually, with people I wanna hang out with. Like, if people I'm in a Patreon, before, the dreaded vid hit, uh, there was a plan for a lot of us to, like, meet up in Louisiana. Everybody was paying their own way, and I didn't mind that at all, if you wanted to go. And I thought, "That's pretty awesome," and if I'd had the money, I would have gone. But obviously the vid showed up, and then that was all, you know I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just gonna keep moving my arm like this. Put aside. Back burner, that's the word. I knew if I just kept pushing my arm, I would get there. So that would be the back burner. I think that people need to be very careful if you're going on one of these trips as a subscriber, be very, very careful in the sense of, feeling like you are friends with the influencer. I know that this can, like, humanize them to you in a way that maybe it wouldn't in any other way. And it's not like, "Oh, don't try to be their friend because you're just a money bag." That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is be careful of that because while, yes, it is them making money, it doesn't they're not going to be mean to you. They're not gonna be rude to you even if they don't like you. You have paid to go on a trip with them. And I say this as somebody who, if I was, opening up this to all my subscribers, I couldn't be mean to you or rude to you. You paid, let's say in that case, $3,000 basically. If you throw in flight and all that stuff, you pay like $3,000 to come hang out with me. I'm not going to be rude to you. Even if I don't like you, I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to tell you I don't like you. I'm not going to be snide to you. I'm just, going to be polite and do the thing. I can't be rude. So keep that in mind. Like keep keep that parasocial bond where you need to keep it because you have to remember that they cannot be mean to you. Like it doesn't help them to be mean to you, especially if they're going to want to do more than one trip. The other is, if you do decide to do this thing, please make sure if I were you, I would try to, if possible, start like a group DM that y'all could all be in so that y'all can get to know each other before the trip if you're not doing that already. So you can kind of figure out rooming situations if you have to share rooms. So you would know better who would fit with one another the best. Um, Janet, 100% that. I think the person who chooses to go on the trip should be happy to do it without the influencer. Yes. I get this. I'm just saying you have to be really, really careful because, like, these relationships can be damaging. As much good as parasocial relationships bring to people's lives, there's also the bad side of it. And we have seen it way too many times. We have seen it with Colleen Ballinger. We have seen it with James Charles. We have seen it with Jalopity Staircase, he who shall not be named. We have seen this happen with Jacqueline Hill. We have seen this happen with Tati. These parasocial relationships can be very damaging for people. They can have an unnatural connection to somebody that is too far. And I do think that when you go on a trip like this, if you're not careful to keep those walls up and make sure that you still understand that you and the influencer might not be friends. Now, you might make friends with the community, and that's awesome. That's what you should be going for. That's the thing that I would want you to be going for. Don't go for the influencer. Don't go for them. Go on this trip, as Janet was saying, go on that trip because you want to hang out, but don't go because you want to meet Tina. Hi, Tina. Because if Tina wants to meet you, Tina can do a meet and greet. Like, a lot of creators can do a meet and greet. Don't go on these trips because you want to be the influencer's friend. That's not going to happen. You have paid. They're not going to be, they can't be mean to you. Um, don't feel like you can just DM them. Again, keep that wall together. Make sure you understand that this is still a business endeavor, even though it's community. That's what I would say. I am not here again to tell you what to do or how to handle your parasocial relationships. I just want y'all to parasocial safely because I do think that when we are at our most vulnerable, these are the times when these relationships can cause us the most harm. So so like it I don't feel like it's the greatest plan to go on these trips with an open community. I want to be sure, and again, we found gray area where I don't feel like people think that they have to fully disclose everything. You really do. It's still, you're still making money. You still have to, like, it has to be right up there. It can't be buried at the bottom of your description. It has to be the first thing people see. When you're talking, like, it has to be the number one thing people see because that affects how people feel about it. And the reason people don't like to disclose is because they don't like that that they're earning money. That's why a lot of people don't like to disclose. Like, that is the honest truth, and that's why it's so rampant in the beauty community specifically. People do it everywhere, but it's really bad here because people feel like if I disclose that this is an affiliate link, then people will think I'm lying about whether or not I like the product, and then they won't use the link, and then I won't make any money. So people like to hide things and bury things and act like that's not the case. And that is the case. They are making money. There's nothing wrong with them making money. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them making money as long as it's closed. I personally find it, for me, I could not do such a thing with the public. My safety is important to me. I don't think anybody actually like wants to do anything weird to me, but like you just kind of never know. I and I just don't know. So what do y'all feel? I'm coming to the community now. What do y'all feel about these influencer trips? Would you go on a trip like this? Do you feel like it should be open to all subscribers? Would you not go? Why? Let's talk about it. Um, Andrea says, I only follow people who I think I could be friends with, but I'm under no delusions that they'd feel that way about me. That's me. Like, and here's the thing, you can become friends. There's nothing saying that you can't. This is a friend business anyway, right? Like, I had a parasocial relationship with Tina, with Teresa, with all of these people that I am now friends with in the community before we became friends. Like, that can happen. But it didn't happen because I'm a creep, although I'm a creep. But but these things happen organically, right? And I think that these trips can be an organic way for people to, meet and go on the trip. But I also don't think that it's as simple as it can sound. I also think that because there's no real way for a lot of these, like, are there going to be NDAs becomes another question. Like, if you go on this trip, did you have to sign an NDA? If you have a terrible time, you can't say anything negative. Will we know? Are you allowed to post content about the trip? That those become all the questions. Like, are you allowed to post stuff? Um, all of that. Influencers are people, but they are also promoting themselves as a brand, and that part of them can never be your friend. Exactly. The part of them that wants to make money can't be your friend. It's why I am poor. Ah, like my Patreon, my channel memberships, all the it's really a matter of what level you can and want to can and or want to financially support me at, because everybody gets the same because I don't feel comfortable leaving people out, and that's just me. Like, that's no slight against anybody else. That's just me. I don't like leaving people out. I feel like if you're kind enough to support me, you should just be able to, like, have access to the stuff and we can all just chill. Um, that that's okay, Tina. I'm freaked out by these trips. I just foresee fallout and I'm staying away 100%. I don't see this going well. I think that it's going to start well, but I think it's going to end in a ball of flames and gunfire. I'm sorry that I said that, but like that is the only way that I can describe it. I don't think it's going to end well. Just because I think that if people can feel like they were being snubbed, like, let's say I plan one trip and it's for everybody, right? And I plan another trip. 5 people who went on the previous trip come on this trip. Those 5 people and me have like a different bond than the 5 newbies. And the 5 newbies might feel a little left out because we're all like, remember, like, da, da, da. Oh my God, work in progress. I'm living. Ah, the breaking my silence of trips. I listen because these days I feel like someone's gonna be like, okay, so 2 years ago, I went on an influencer trip with so and so and it was terrible. But yeah, I just I don't feel like I can't do it because I can't be on. I've told you that. I cannot be on for 12 hours straight at least, you know? I'm a grumpy person when like, if I haven't eaten, I'm grouchy. If I didn't have enough water, I'm grouchy. I eat a lot of food a lot of times and work sucks. I really like that you brought this up. There are too many stalkers out there that now have access to the influencer on the trip. Doesn't seem safe. And that's the other thing I worry about is like the safety of not just the influencer, but everyone involved. Because like one person who has an adverse reaction who is not managing their mental illness might be a detriment to all. That is how I'll put that. Like, ugh. Um, let's see. I had a parasocial relationship with everyone I now mod for, and they're all my friends. It can happen, but there has to be special circumstances for it to happen. 100%. Like, yeah, it can happen. I think you can become friends. I think the reason that it's happened this way is because we're able to be behind the scenes doing stuff, and because we're doing that, we're able to create and have friendships that aren't based on whether or not you are paying for it. And a 93 run, I would not go on a trip like this. As I've gotten older, I understand the importance of realizing I'm a fan of someone. That's it. That's all. I don't know these people. I just like their content. Yeah. I mean, you just don't know people. You really don't. And my other worry too is for influencers. Like, what if people meet you and they don't like you at all? like, like I couldn't imagine the sting of that. Like, these people go on a trip with me and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited to be going on a trip with you, Audra." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they get back, they're like, "Audra is awful." Also, gas like a trucker. And, like, listen, you get to a certain age, you can't even control that anymore. I just want to tell you that. Like, you you can't do anything about it. It's coming. Like, it's gonna a toot's gonna toot. You can't you stop having to hold those in. And it hurts, actually. The angry Latina lawyer. I wouldn't go on one of these trips even if I was paid for it. I can smell the drama and damage from here. The lawsuits never ending after these. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't see them going well in the future. I think that they're gonna start out fun, just like, brand trips and creator trips. I would go on a creator trip with very specific people and they all have to be my friends. And it would have to be very, very much discussed that like nobody else comes but us. Don't invite anybody else. If you invite somebody else, I'm not coming. I just be like, Tina, Teresa, you know what I mean? Like I'd have my people and be like, okay, we're going on a trip. No one else can come. Don't invite anybody else. I don't care if it's sponsored. That's not the point. I just want to hang out and meet you. Don't let anybody else come. Period. I'm not into it. Um, right here we have Juliet saying yes to the not open to everyone. While I'd be inclined to go on such a trip, well, by very few influencers, in reality, I wouldn't. So many issues, money, mental health, food issues, and more. Yeah. I would honestly, if this was something that was like closed, I don't think I would have as many problems with it because I think the other thing about it too, with it being in a closed circle is that that they're making money. They're going to disclose it to you there. I feel like disclosure happens behind closed doors, but as soon as the doors open, they're like, anyways, I really like this blush. Yeah, it depends on how big or small it is. I think even 10 people could be a lot for some folks, but it may not be. Caitlin with hi Caitlin, how are you? Caitlin came in with a came in late, but I know vegan groups have been going for years to Bali and Italy. However, more and more communities doing it will crash and crush it. I guess good idea while it lasted. Yes, because I think there's a few places where it can fall apart. One is the creator setting the margins. I think originally they will start out with being fair and trying to make sure that their community can go. But I think that the more, because let me be real honest, YouTube doesn't pay the way YouTube used to pay. YouTube is not paying out like it used to pay. People are very blasé about using affiliate links. People are very like a lot of people will use a code, but people are really like, I'm not paying. It's not everybody, but it's enough people to where it does make a difference in the income that people are having. So YouTube isn't paying like it used to. Beauty isn't getting the views that it used to. I think you're going to see this in any community that the views are going down or any creator where they're having any struggles with views. I'm not saying that that's why people are doing this. I'm saying when we're talking about like the mess that it can create, that going on a trip might be easier financially because you get to enjoy it more. And then you have content for it afterwards, like, and you can have content for it while you're doing it. So you can also be doing like sponsorships and shit while you're over there, wherever you are. Like it can really elevate your content because you're in a different place. You're one of them travel divas. So like, you're in a different place being like, look at my Murad port control. This is what I'm wearing for my sunscreen, bitches. You know what I mean? You can be doing that, you know, getting your money on. Um, oh my God, what? It was supposed to be 40 people? Oh my God, that's a lot of people. I would panic. Cackle. That sounds like a red flag. Hot mess preying on folks with extreme budgets and flexible boundaries. Be safe, folks. Yeah, yeah. Tina, let's go. I think that's why the creators trip worked, but I can see it evolving into chaos. Yeah. Like I want to meet people. I want to hang out with my friends, but I don't like meeting strangers. And I categorize the strangers as people that I don't even like. If I don't DM you ever, I don't, I think generally I don't want to know you, and that's fine. And that's, like, for creators, like, I don't wanna know you, that's fine, I don't want to, and I think it's best that we never be in the same room together because I'm not nice. I am a kind person, I'm not a nice person. Hi, Super Kitty, welcome in. If the margins aren't over the top, I wouldn't care paying also for the influencer I'm having a parasocial relationship with. After all, I want them to be successful. That's the thing, that I think that's why I would keep it if I did something like this. um, I would wanna keep it to the smaller community that's interior, the people who would want to go, and we would, like, honestly, I would be working with people within the community to plan it the way that I want it to go before I, like, actually put it all together. Be like, "Okay, let's go here. Is there anything in particular that you wanna see?" Because here's the thing about me, let me be real honest. You go on a trip with me, we're not really doing a lot of touring, babes. I go other places to eat and sleep. I just wanna eat and sleep in another location. I don't wanna go on a lot of tours. I don't need to see any of the wonders of the world. I know a lot of people want to see them. I've seen them on television, and that's good enough for me. And I know you could be like, Audra, it's different in person. It's not. I saw the Mona Lisa in person. It wasn't great. And after that, I was like, I'm going to stop seeing these things in person. They look better on TV. And I'm fine with that. I'm like, they look fine. I'm fine with them on TV. I'm not a person who wants to go a lot of places. Our trip would literally be like 5 days in a fancy location, in a snazzy location where we're going to eat, drink, and sleep. That's what we're doing. If you want to go on a tour, that's on you, babes. I will not be doing that. I'm just like, we're gonna like, mm-mm. Yeah, Kimberly did a Black girl meetup. And that was really rough because there was some stuff going on where anyways, um, because people were trying to invade it and be hateful to her, which was awful. But yeah, and that was within her Patreon as well. The Black girl meetup, I feel like it was because she said that the details were in her Patreon. I feel like I remember that. So yeah, I would like to do that. Like the bunny beatdown. I love that. And that picture is so gorgeous. The glasses, the lip. Babes, I'm living the hair. Damn. Okay. Okay. We're outshining me today. And I like that. Do it. Um but yeah, I would like that's what I would do is be like, we're gonna go eat food. Food and drink. That's what we're doing. We're gonna because I am uninterested. I don't wanna walk around a lot. I walk all day at work. I don't wanna do that. I wanna eat food, I wanna buy things, and I wanna sleep. I don't want an itinerary. I don't wanna be forced to be awake at any particular time. Like, let's go to Rome, sleep, and eat. Do some shopping. The end. Like, that's all I wanna do. Same. I just went to Puerto Rico and I ate and slept through in a ghost tour for good measure. That was about it. Yeah. I'm not into it. Like, no, I can't. Like, that would be something that I'd be like, "Hey, community, are you interested in eating and sleeping in a new location? If so, let me know." It really is overrated, and it's very small. The Mona Lisa, it's much smaller than you think that it is. It's just not fancy. I've also seen Plymouth Rock in person. It's alright. Hollywood sign, dirty. Hollywood Walk of Fame, dirty. I've seen a lot of these, and it's not what you Beverly Hills, Melrose Place, dirty. Like, most of these places aren't what you think that they are. They look way better on television because you forget, like, film crews are there, so they, like, clean everything up. Everything looks fancy. They use filters. They make it look schmancy. But in real life, there's human beings spitting on the sidewalk, so it's like it's not the same. Um, listen, I do wanna do that. I wanna go to NOLA, I do wanna go. Plymouth Rock is li listen, I saw it, it was on, I feel like it was my freshman year, freshman choir trip, we went. Oh boy, like, there was a whole videographer, and he looked at me and he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Of what?" And he was like, "Of Plymouth Rock," and I'm like, "I mean, it's a rock with a bunch of numbers on it, it's not really exciting, bro." And I guess he found that hilarious. He stuck the camera in my face the entire time because he thought I was funny, and did the same thing when we went to London. But yes, this is exactly why we have parasocial relationships, because this is how we enjoy spending time together. You know what I mean? Like I want to, if if I wanted to go on a trip like this, like, again, I would see if they had one that was food and sleeping. Like, we don't want to do any tours. We don't want any of that shit. But if that's the case, I would just organize something, and who cares if I have to pay for it? You know what I mean? That's all. So, anything else? You can't smell through the TV either, especially because, like, listen, today, Bo passed his gas and I gagged. It was horrible. He tried to kill me. I was very upset. It is boring. They try to show it to you. It's in this like little thing, and they have it like rubbed off. And I was like, what? Like, it's part of our history. I'm like, it's a rock. How are you even sure that this is the rock? Because you just like etched numbers in it and shit. Like, I feel like y'all are lying to me. My conspiracy theory is that that's not even Plymouth Rock. They just grabbed a rock that was big and they said it was Plymouth Rock, and we've been falling for it ever since. But yes, you can't smell through the TV. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that the FTC guidelines are being followed, that as people who want to go on these trips, that you are enjoying them. And then when we get into the parasocial side of it, just making sure that you understand that this doesn't change that relationship that you have. It can. I'm not saying it won't, but keeping in mind that just the same way that the Disney princesses at Disneyland or Disney World have to hug you and act like they care, even if they don't, this influencer that's on the trip with you has to be nice. You have paid for this trip. They cannot treat you disrespectfully. They can't be hateful or heinous or nasty. I mean, maybe they can if they make you sign an NDA. Don't do that, y'all. Don't be out here making people sign NDAs. But ultimately, you have to want to be going on this trip because you've wanted to go to this place. Make connections with the community outside of the influencer. Enjoy your parasocial relationships as much as you can, because, like, these are good for us. This has been a rough few years for parasocial relationships. We've watched many of our favorite influencers fall from grace. We've watched many of them not care about issues that we care about. And the thing is, just remember, you can always stop watching and try not to hate watch. But if you do, use incognito, um, and remove it from your watch history. But enjoy yourself if you go, and just make sure that the influencers that you're watching are disclosing properly. One thing that Peter Mon is always talking about, and I think more of us need to do, is calling out influencers on their failure to disclose. This needs to be something that we're saying out loud all the time, because honestly, if they're not going to do it, we have to be the ones to keep telling them to. Like the FTC, whenever it decides that it's going to come from on high and actually issue down judgments on people who aren't doing it, they're taking forever. We have to be the voice that says so. They can't block. I mean, they can block everybody, but you know, at some point they're going to have to realize that, like, these disclosures, these things should not be at the ass end. It should not be buried in the middle. It should not look like Illuminati's research links. Okay. Ooh, that was a fun burn. Um, so that is it for the day. This is a short stream for me. Now I'm going to, oh, I forgot to tell you. I said at the beginning to you, I like my foundation, et cetera, et cetera. It's the Laura Mercier. I was able to pick that up. So, it's smooth. I'm like, it's smooth. Of course, I'm an oily, greasy mess, and I didn't powder because that's not who I am. Um, I don't like to powder, especially for streams, because I feel like it makes me look dry on stream. So I'll powder, like in person, I'll powder. But yeah, we'll see. So that is that on that. I hope all of you enjoyed the stream. For those of you who watched in the replay, appreciate you. Please remember that I do have all of these listed kind of like a, not kind of, in podcast format. There we go. Let's use our strong language, Odd. I have it listed in podcast format, The Audra Rain Show, where you can just listen to it if you don't have time to actually look and see. And this one in particular did not have a lot of elements in it. It just had like the definition of parasocial relationships. If y'all want to talk about parasocial relationships more, let me know in the comments below. Once again, subscribe if you haven't. And remember, I am so pretty and so are you. Until next time, have a great one. Bye.